Got a new video blog for you guys. This one comes from John in Australia. He goes, "Hey Greg, I was wondering if you could clear something up for me. Just to let you know I'm progressing well at the moment. I'm 6.5% body fat, 180 pounds, and looking to get a bit more thickness. Anyway, here are a few questions I have regarding the tempo when lifting. One, from watching your workout videos, it seems that you use a fairly fast tempo, 2 seconds up, 2 seconds down, for your mass lifts, and even a faster tempo for your shaper lifts. However, some people recommend slowing down the tempo for 4-2, 2 seconds up, 4 seconds down. Is this useful for building mass? It seems that when I try to slow my tempo down, I can't use as heavy poundage to stay in that 12 to 8 rep range. 2. Therefore, what rips the muscles more? However, heavier weight with a faster tempo, or moderate weight with a slow tempo. Good form and control in both cases, of course, to get to that 12 to 8 rep range. Third, lastly, is tempo irrelevant or not a big factor as long as you're controlling the weight in good form and feeling the targeted muscle?" I know it's a lot to answer, and that I should do both the shock to system, but I'm just confused on what would be the most effective way for my current goal. Cheers, John from Australia. Guys, we haven't talked about tempo at all, I don't think. A little bit in the workouts, but this is a great question, John. And one of the crucial elements to the success in your lifting program. And what John said at the end is what everybody has to say first to themselves to find out where they want to go. He goes, "I'm just confused on what would be the most effective way for my current goal." If you guys don't know your current goal, where you want to go, then you're lost in your path. And your workout isn't going to be as effective. Most effective when you know exactly where you want to go. So you have a start and a finish. Tempo is what John's talking about right there, is that weight in your hands tempo, meaning in the lift. The negative to the positive contraction of that targeted muscle group. What is the speed of which you want to lift that weight? That's only one part of the game. The second part is the tempo of the rest period in between sets. So we're going to go into both of them, but beforehand, find out what your goal is. When I say goal, is your goal to put on size. Like John's trying, his goal is to add a little bit more thickness to his 180-pound frame, 6.5% body fat. He wants to put on some size. That's his goal. That's going to be a different tempo than if somebody is a performance grade, like an athlete, that just wants that burst of power. You know, that's a different type of lift too. Or if somebody's just looking to get cut up and lose some fat, they want to keep that heart rate up, and they're conditioning other muscles. They're building the aerobic side of the anaerobic process. All three of them are different tempos. Now, is one better than the other? No, they're all win-win situations, right? But some are more tailored to your goal and more effective for achieving one goal to another goal. So let's get into that. If you are lifting for power purpose, you know, for performance grade sports endeavors, where you need explosiveness, your lift there is totally different tempo-wise than if you're doing for building mass size or just getting cut up. If you're doing power, it's quick burst. It's a fast twitch muscle is what you want to do. So your tempo of lifting the weight is immediate. You know, you get up as fast as you can. And most of your power lifts are going to be multiple muscle movements. It's not going to be an isolated just chest press or just like a squat. It's gonna be the clean and jerk, you know, using multiple movements in one powerful movement. Most of the workouts I'm showing you guys, and most of what people are writing in, is not for the power performance grade. Those workouts and those routines are almost a different entity in themselves, and I can do some of those workouts for you later. But let's get into what the real meat and potatoes of everything here is, which is losing weight, getting cut up, looking good in the mirror, that kind of vanity of the mirror, you know, all shredded proportion, and then put on size so you can actually throw some weight around. Two different tempos. If you are doing it to lose weight, right, you will get cut up. You want to keep your tempo of your rest period and then your tempo of your lift, the positive and negative contraction, faster than if you want to put on size. If you want to put on size, your tempo, when he says I do 2 seconds up, 2 seconds down, yeah, that's about accurate, right? For mass lifts and for shaper lifts, he says I go even faster. You actually go slower on the shaper lifts. So if you're doing your normal lift, right, and you're looking for size, Your negative should always be longer than your positive. Obviously, when he says, when I slow my tempo down, I can't do as much. No shit, no one can. Imagine you're doing push-ups, right? You do 100 push-ups as fast as you can, right? And you can do 100 of them. Well, if you slow that tempo down, you're coming down 5 seconds, and then 2 seconds up on each one, you're not going to be able to do 100 of them, are you? No, you're not even come close to 100. You're probably, gassed out around like 40 or 50. If you're doing pull-ups, and you're just doing pull-ups as fast as you can, as opposed to taking your time to come up and come back down, you're not going to be able to do as many. So what are we talking about? We're talking a little bit of an ego problem here, aren't we? Are we worried about lifting the amount of reps, or are we worried about getting in the best shape possible, the end state, our goal? Because one is not going to do the other, right? If you're in the gym and you're doing pull-ups and you do 5 pull-ups and it takes you 30 seconds to do 5 pull-ups, or you do 30 pull-ups in 30 seconds, to the surrounding element watching you, you look more of a badass doing 30 of them than 5 of them in 30 seconds, do you not? Right. So, but at the end of it all, which one is better for the body? The longer you have the weight in your hands, the more your muscles are working, the more you're getting out of that. People far too often go into a workout and go into their set, and they do this like this fucking war cry before the workout. Before they're set, they pick up the weights and they say they're going to go back on a bench and do some dumbbell presses. They sit there, they start banging the weights together, and they go, rah, rah. And the partner's like egging them on and stuff, and the people next to him are getting freaked out. They're like kind of moving to different apparatus to work out, because this guy's like, looks like he's about a volcano ready to explode. And he gets down there and, and he goes to as fast as he can. And he slams the weights down and he's like, well, he's lifting his ego right there. He wants to do however many reps, and he wants to do 2 more reps than he did last time, and really throw that weight up there. It's all about reps there, isn't it? It's not about controlling the motion, feeling the muscles burn. Now, if he dropped that weight and went down there and stayed in the lift longer, right, it wouldn't be quite as impressive to somebody watching. But his muscles don't have an ego problem, do they? His actual muscles, if they were a separate identity, yeah, they are his. But if they could stand by themselves and talk, they go, yo, the more you make me hold that weight and go through the motions, pulse at the bottom, pulse at the top, controlling the motion, rotating it all the way through, I'm gonna grow faster than if you just, fucking jerk me off. What I'm trying to say that is tempo. If you can get your ego out of it, right, the slower your tempo goes, the greater enhancement you're going to get with whatever targeted muscle group you're going for. Now, that's hard for a lot of people. I get it. I'm the same way too. I like to go in there, I like to go to a certain rep count, if I'm going for 10, 12, 15, whatever it is, and I like to get there. And at the very end of that rep count, right, let's say I'm going to 12, around 9 or so is when I'm going to start hitting failure. That's when it really starts slowing down, because I can't do as many. And that's when I have a partner there to push me past the failure sets for the forced reps, really get everything out of it. So most people's tempo in a workout, it starts fast in that set for the first 5 or 6, and if they're going to 10 to 12, then on the back end of that, it starts to slow down naturally, because their muscles are getting fatigued, lactic acid is building in there, and they're losing their strength. But they hit their level of failure, and then they push past it with a partner and stuff, and there's their growth, right? So what they're doing, they're racing for failure. I always say, you want to race to get to failure. Once you're in that failure zone, that's when you're controlling the weight with a partner and really going past failure, past your current limitations, saying hello to new growth of the muscle. And then the drop set, that's going to be at a different tempo. I'm kind of just talking very vaguely right now, but let's break it down a little bit easier. And these things are always long-winded, aren't they? Okay. If you're looking to put on size, then the slower you go is a better tempo than going fast. And if you can get your ego out of it, put on some heavy weight, something you can control, as heavy as you can control is what I'm saying. If you're going for 8 reps, then you're going to bring it down on maybe say a 4 second, 3 seconds. So you got the weight in your hands, right? So it's 1, 2, 3, a pray and pause for 4, and then 5, 6, you know, so it's a 4 down, 2 up. Or if you want to go 1, 2, 1, you know, your negative should always be twice as long as your positive. If you're on a curl, it's 1, then 1, 2, you know, or, you know, 1, 2, then 1, 2, 3, 4. Now that's for mass, right? Now when you do a shaper lift, which is, or drop set lift, well, they're different. So let me just go one by one. All right, so that's for your mass. Now for your shaper lifts, as you're going into the second half of your chest workout and you're doing flies and everything else, building the width of the chest, you can go higher reps. It's still that same tempo though, guys. The tempo is still that you know, X for your positive and then 2X for your negative. So it's twice as long on the negative as it is the positive. Now when you do drop sets, you are going to like burn it out as fast as you can. It's a speed drill basically. So if you're doing a chest press and you hit failure at 12 and then you drop the weight and you do a drop set, still perfect form though, but you're going to do like 20 reps fast, you know, and really at the end you're really squeezing it each way through. That's going to be the most bang for your buck to build your mass. And then your time in between your sets is crucial too for building mass. If you're trying to build mass, the time in between those sets has got to be long enough that your next set isn't hitting failure because of lactic acid or conditioning factor. It has to be a muscle factor, a muscle anaerobic failure, not that you're winded from the set before or that lactic acid's still within your muscle range. You know, it hasn't gotten out of there. So it should be at least a minute, you know, 45 seconds to a minute, maybe a minute and a half. If you start pushing the 2 to 3 to 4 minutes in between sets, you're going to be stronger in that next set. But you want to stay in that failure state in the gym. You want to get in there, hit failure, right? And then you want to maintain that failure in a working environment, meaning you're not taking a latte in between the sets, coming back strong. That's like taking the day off and coming back in. You want to keep that one muscle group, you know, on its heels, you know, and you keep hitting it while you're doing flat chest press. Then you can take a little bit of breather if you want as you go into incline flies or decline, you know, whatever. But while you're doing those 4 sets or 3 sets or however many sets you guys are doing for that one exercise, you want to keep that about at 45 seconds to a minute and a half at the most as your rest in between sets. And your rep range should again be 2 seconds down, 1 second up, 4 seconds down, 2 seconds up. It's an X, 2X factor there. If you're going in just for a fat burn now, totally different. Fat burn is your rest period and your tempo in between the lifts are faster because you want to maintain your heart rate, sustain that at a higher heart rate, a fat burn heart rate for 45 minutes to an hour, whatever your workout is. What is that? Now that depends on how good of shape you're in. But it's not like you can't breathe, but it should be around 130, 140 beats a minute. And you want to maintain that so you're going faster. Your range, your rest in between sets is probably 30 to 45 seconds at the max, no more. Because you want to keep your heart rate up, you know, you're not coming down so much. It's not about building size, it's about building conditioning. And then your sets in between, it's just a 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. It's not 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1. No, when you're building to lose weight and build your aerobic conditioning of your endurance of the muscle, it's just 1, 2. In control though, it's not some jerk off, you know? It's 1, 2. Controlled motions the whole time. As opposed to mass. 1, 2, 1. Performance grade. It's boom! You know, it's a fast twitch kind of lift. Hope that answers your question, John. I feel like I'm getting a little redundant here. But tempo is very crucial to the success of your workout. 1, find out what your goal is, where you want to go first, right? That goal is going to depict what you're doing now to get there. Second, your tempo is not just when the weight is in your hands. It's the rest period in between your sets too. And they should mirror each other. If you're going for mass, it's slower. If you're going for conditioning and getting cut up, lose weight and fat, then it's faster maintained. And the other thing is, the longer that weight is in your hands, the more you're getting out of the workout. If you're in the gym for an hour, right, and you do 30 sets, okay, and each set is, you're racing through it, so it's, 30 seconds a set, right? Well, that's 15 minutes, isn't it? If I'm maths right, that's 15 minutes of the hour, so 45 minutes is walking in between sets, your rest period and everything else. So that hour workout was 15 minutes of actually lifting, right? Now, if you slow that down and made it a minute in between, well, that's now 30 minutes of the hour. That weight is in your hands, pushing your muscles, activating your muscles. More of a better workout. That workout will not glorify you to the subjective assholes around you that you shouldn't even care about. Meaning the pull-up scenario, doing 30 pull-ups in 30 seconds as opposed to 5 pull-ups in 30 seconds. One looks a little tougher than the other one, but the guy that's doing the 5 pull-ups in 30 seconds is working his muscles so much faster. Also, the slower you go, the less chance you have to put momentum in your lift. So there's no longer any kind of, your muscles are lifting the weight, not the momentum. So the full range of the muscle is being activated, as opposed to if you're doing a curl and you're jerking it, you're missing out on part of that range of motion for the muscle to use. All right, buddy, I hope that helps. Greg Plitt, thanks for watching.